let's talk chickadees. Aw, adorable. And what we're going to be doing is I want to, there's a conference coming up in Canada, Wandering and Wandering. And and they asked me to if I could make some sort of a logo for them. And so I asked if there were is there any species that was sort of iconic, and the black-capped chickadee is sort of their favorite bird. So I thought, well, that's just adorable. Let's see what we can do to get some black-capped chickadees in on a logo. And the first things that kind of occurred to me was like, profile of the head and on in a circle, because that's what everybody does. Then I started thinking like, well, like the chickadees are just so much fun, and they're like hanging all over everything. So what if you had the words for the conference sort of saying the name, and then there were chickadees that were perching on it, and kind of, chickadees, they will hang upside down on little branches as they're getting bugs and little seeds. They're really just adorable birds. And so I thought, just maybe let's get a little flock of chickadees that has landed on the the label for this event. All right. So I haven't completely settled on what sort of font I have, but I've been looking at sort of some florally kind of cursive-y fonts. Um, and um, and so I'm going to be I'm going to be doing two things. One, I'm going to be looking on one side of the screen at some photographs of black-capped chickadees and using those for references for drawing on the other side of the page. Whenever you're using photographs, if the photograph belongs to somebody else and you're going to be copying it, a lot of detail, so they look at it and kind of like, wait a minute, that's my photograph in a drawing, right? You want to get permission from the photographer. If you're going to be modifying it so much that they look at it and go like, oh, that's a neat drawing of a photo of a chickadee, right? Then you don't need to. But if you're really copying a lot of it, then we want to respect the intellectual property of the artists who are doing the photography. The photographs that I'm going to be taking a look at here I've got some photographs from Ashok Khosla, who is a nature journaler and a wonderful, curious person and bird photographer, has a website called seeingbirds.com. And he said that all of you nature journalers, if you want to use my photographs on this website for doing your illustrations, please help yourself. I also may be looking at some photographs by Vivek Kanzode, who has from the website birdpixel.com, and who's also encouraged us to use these for inspiring our artwork. So in this case, we've got permission and even encouragement from these photographers to really make use of these photographs. So tip of the hat to them. Let's take a look at some chickadee loveliness. And let's see, I was trying to get my computer to figure out how to, with a push of a button, display the desktop, but I somehow kind of got into this very actually I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see if this works. So on one side of my screen, I have black-capped chickadees, and on the other side of my screen, I have places to draw them. And let's see what we can do here. Oopsie. So here's some words, and what I'm thinking of doing is sticking chickadees on them. In order to make these, I may have to darken them more. I may have to thicken them up, because you want branches that are big enough to support the weight of a chickadee. So this may not be the end font that I go with. It may end up being a little bit too delicate, but um, but we'll see what we can do. What I want to do is to good. I want to draw some chickadees on top of this, and what I'm first going to do is to just sort of place where I'm thinking some chickadees might be. So one thing I think a chickadee might want to do if it were in here, imagine these words as being um, the words as being uh, branches that they could perch on. And I might imagine that there's a chickadee that is somewhere in here, and um, it's hanging on with its little chickadee feet in here. And then what's it doing? Its back is going to be here. Uh, yeah, so something that might be kind of a good place for a chickadee. And I like that it would be kind of upside down. Maybe its tail will stick across the words here, maybe not. Zoom out a little bit and just sort of see like, yeah, that would be a nice big chickadee with that. Then perhaps you need another chickadee in here. Maybe one chickadee is enough, but maybe there's another chickadee that is kind of hanging out in here. Um, Now, if its tail comes down like that, so what I'm doing is I'm thinking out loud with these sort of light chickadees here, and um, so if I've got a chickadee here, and maybe its tail is sticking out this way, so it doesn't block things too much. But then I'm not liking that chickadee. I'm thinking maybe the chickadee has its tail up. I don't want it to block the words too much. So what I'm doing is just sort of thinking like how might I fit some chickadees kind of around this.
We
Maybe,
have a, would you be
yeah,
interested for a suggestion that came in from the chat?
yes. That please. Any suggestions as we're going here? Um, let's drop these. Please share those.
So Susan Beckhart is saying that she would put a chickadee on the big loop on the top left, trying to eat the dot on the eye.
Oh, all right. So let's explore this idea. And then we'll try to make these chickadees happen. Oh, see. Are we talking something like there's a chickadee, maybe it's got its feet here, tail down. Um, and it's excited about this little dot on the eye.
I think so. I think that's what Susan was saying.
Oh, ooh, see that? Let's zoom back from that. See, at the start of something, you're what I like to do is just sort of to kind of just play with ideas, and maybe this chickadees when they're kind of sometimes up and down, they might have their tail kind of cocked in cool positions. Huh? That could be really fun. Let's let's explore this idea of this upper chickadee more. Um, and we'll maybe do that one first. All right, I'm going to make my page a little bit larger. Um, I'm going to make it taller. Lock it on the bottom here. And I'm going to make this just a little bit taller.
We've also got some folks saying that it might be good to make the birds smaller.
Oh, let's experiment with that. Um, let's see here. Boo, 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 boo. Um, I am going to first make the top of this thing white. So I'm going to pick some color there. All right. Let's experiment with what happens if these birds get a little bit smaller. Whoops. And we're going to go back to our chickadee layer here. And we are going to, actually, let's keep that chickadee in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the chickadee. When you're doing a digital illustration, you can often grab a little piece like this, and then that, and I am going to cut it out. I'm going to paste it back in, and there is my chickadee. I'm going to cut this chickadee out. And here is a little chickadee. And I can take this guy and can move him around. Let's zoom in a little bit more. And what would happen if we made this chickadee a little bit smaller? It's hanging on that. And then zoom out a little bit. Oh, yeah, this might be a really good idea here. Let's make this other chickadee smaller. Maybe not that small. And then get rid of that chickadee's tail and put a different tail in. Is something like this more what you're thinking of? With there's the little chickadee like that, a little chickadee here. So if you could monitor the chat for me and let me know what kind of feedback we're getting, what people are thinking with these. So here would be chickadee 1 and chickadee 2.
Let's see, we're getting lots of neat comments. Let's see here. We've got suggestion that the birds can either be different sizes or that there could be smaller ones within script. There's so many ideas here in the chat. So whatever you think is best. There's a suggestion from Raybonto to open the mouth on the one going after the eye, maybe. Or the the dot on the eye. Let's see here. A question if the text can be made darker. There's so many ideas. Let's see here.
I think this we can work with this. All right, so this again gives me there's a general. I'm going to just zoom back here, and something that is nice if you are ever doing a digital illustration, something to consider doing on a regular basis is if you zoom out a little bit, you kind of get more of a picture of the sort of the big picture of it. When you're really kind of zoomed in, looking at the details of things, um, it's hard to kind of get the big picture of it. But if you're, say, working at home on a drawing, if you just put it against the wall and walk away from it for a little while, you're going to find that you look back at it across the room, it gives you a different perspective on it. Similarly, um, looking on looking at the reflection in a mirror gives you a different perspective on your drawing. But so zooming in and out on any drawing, then that again, either with old school, that's by walking across the room. Those are very useful ways of doing things. Right, so I'm going to play with this. I'm going to say take this little drawing of this chickadee that we have here. I'm going to use this general positioning as a starting place, and then we'll go up from there. So I'm going to go to this.
Oh, may I add one more suggestion just because a bunch of people in the chat are mentioning this one?
Mhm.
There's a bunch of folks who are asking, what about adding a third chickadee on the right, either flying from the right, maybe a different size, or maybe about to perch or something like that. But yeah, a bunch of folks are saying maybe add a third chickadee on the right.
Third chickadee. Let's see what happens if, um, maybe what if how does it work to have a third chickadee down here? It wants to perch here with its little chickadee tail sticking down. Um, There's a little bit there. That. Let's see if we can get. Maybe this might be a kind of a good time to kind of look at more chickadee reference material here to kind of think about some chickadee poses. Um, yeah, possibility of maybe this chickadee over here is kind of looking off into the distance at things that are over here. So this chickadee's looking off this way. I think we want the chickadee's attention to be back on this. You see, this is so when I'm working on logos, there's often kind of a very kind of flexible part at the start where I am I'm doing just sort of what you see now, and just sort of with very kind of sketchy birds. Um, playing with the different possibilities. Hmm. One way you can get more reference material is I'm going to go over here and you can see what sorts of things I have been Googling. Um, and you do have to check out the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, everybody. That's kind of interesting. let's see. I'm going to do a search for what is that? iNaturalist, and I'm going to put black-capped chickadee into this, and what I'm looking for is I want to go to iNaturalist. Sorry. Um, let's just go there, and then once we're here, we can look at black-capped chickadee. No results for what you spelled wrong. Chickadee, black-capped chickadee, black-capped chickadee. There we go. Yeah, that doesn't look like black-capped chickadees. Try this again. Click on this. Black-capped chickadee, no results found. Am I spelling something wrong?
Not that I can see, except that you might try going up to the search bar that is right next to iNaturalist instead.
All right. So what I will do, what I like to do on a site like this is I just want to oh, that's so cute. I'm gonna look around and let's see if we can find some cool, very black-capped chick like this sort of a black-capped chickadee pose. Look at this guy. Like I like that guy on maybe on top of everything. And um and this little kind of I like this on this one here. I love these sort of swooshes that you get with the black when it's all fluffed up like this. Um, is there a nice reference of an upside down chickadee? Yes, look at you. Look at you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start using this. And then I'm going to turn the head around to a different position. But this one here, I can use as part of my upside down chickadee. So let's start drawing this upside down chickadee. You notice that the reference photo is pointing the opposite direction as the way I want this to go. Um, so what I'm going to do is I can just copy it or sort of use this as reference to draw it, sort of keeping the same position. And then I will flip it over once I kind of like my basic lines. So let's look at how we do that. And I can do this anywhere on the page here. And I'm going to so draw in a little chickadee like this, and then bring it in. So let's give this a try. Time to draw us a chickadee. I'm going to zoom in on the page here. I'm going to go to a big blank piece of real estate. And I'm going to give myself a new little drawing layer. If you're drawing in Photoshop or something like that, there are all these layers that you can use um, to help you be able to um, construct your drawing. So, for instance, with this little bird here, if I wanted to have sort of a ball of a body um, with wings here, its tail. Let's see, get that tail position a little bit better. There's a tail that's sticking off here. I'm going to have a different head on mine. And this is essentially what I'm doing is I'm thinking non-photo blue pencil here. This is sort of what my non-photo blue pencil lines are going to be doing. We're going to have a wing in this area. It's kind of flopped over here. There is covert feathers, primary coverts. Um, there's a big kind of mantle area, and then the chest area is coming out more flat and then curves down. And on mine, I'm going to have a head that's tucked up here, looking this direction. Um, but let's. Oh, oh, look at you! Look at you! All right. So what I'll do is I'll kind of block in what I want. Um, and then I can take that whole layer and make it less in my face, make it lighter. So what I'll do is if I want that layer just as a reference layer, oh, let's put in where the feet are. The feet are in here, right? The feet are going to be all kind of holding on to something here. So this is my reference layer. So it doesn't have to be bold. I can then take that whole layer and just say, make this really light, make this really kind of ghosty. And then I've got something that sort of shows my basic shape. And I'm going to create a new layer where I'm going to draw my bird on top of that. I'm going to do everything except the head and then come back later, find a different photograph that gives me a nice chickadee head, and then we'll be good. So across the chest here, I'm going to make this fairly flat, and I'm going to start to show fuzz marks in here. This area here. These feathers I'm working on here are called the undertail coverts. This little white area at the base here. There's actually a different patch of feathers than these ones that are all across the chest here. And so I want that to be a separate little lump. Let's take a look at what the tail is doing. So the tail is going to be coming in like this. The wing is going to be a nice curve across the top of it. And that's where your alula is. And then the back feathers here. And instead of drawing a full hard line, I often will make the parts of these lines that are sort of in the more fluffy feathers as little kind of tick marks. I have alia up in this area, and I have primary coverts coming down in here. On chickadees, this black-capped chickadee, there's this really interesting white bar that you see up in those covert feathers. So some of the covert feathers you see kind of these black edges in, and then there's this big kind of white bar that's a very black-capped chickadee thing. And then we've got very bold white edges on the secondary feathers. Here's this pile of secondary feathers. And the primaries are coming all the way here, overlapping like that. I'm going to put in some edges. back of my feathers here, my bird's head is going to be really tilted around, causing these back feathers to be really kind of ruffled out. That's working for me. And on drawing bird feet, I'm going to try not to get more detailed in this than the rest of the drawing is. I'm starting to think about on this, I'm probably going to want some of these lines to be bolder, clearer lines that, um, oh, no. Which I've got a backup undo button. That's if you get really used to doing digital illustrations, then it gets really confusing when you go back to regular drawing because you can't have that undo button anymore. But oh, I'm liking the way that this is working. So what I'm going to do is now find I've got some basics for my body, and I'm going to now get a different head and put that on top of my bird. The more comfortable I get um, with looking at uh, sort of playing with bird anatomy, then the easier it becomes for me to take different photographs and move those around. Um, let's see if there's, I'm looking for, like, oh, look at this. Look at this lovely head. Look at that. Oh, see, this one, it has the nape feathers on the back of the head really fluffed out. It's got its crest up. It's just looking so fuzzy and boop that snootable. Um, so what I can do here is I am going to draw a head and then take that head and stick it on this other body. Kind of getting a little Frankenstein bird. And I don't have to worry about um, I don't have to worry about this being a head that's much too big, as I will shortly be. I can just take this and resize it. Got your head in here. As I'm looking at the shape here on the cheek, what is the general sort of shape of? Yeah, that'll work for me as a little chickadee head. And I like the kind of crest upness of this. So if I'm doing a digital illustration, I can just take this little birdie head here. I can cut it out. I can paste it back in, but it's now pasted in as its own separate little layer. I'm going to make it point the opposite direction. Uh, transform. There it is. And then I can take this head and want to be careful of making the head too big. like that. So then I can go back to this layer. I'm going to take this little head layer and make it faint. Go back to this layer where I've got my whole body, and now I can draw my little bird head on top of that. So the process for making a digital illustration is you've got the ability to kind of take things, resize them, move them around. Um, and as long as you are, looks like that, does that eye want to go higher? Yeah, I think it does. So check this out. I can just take this eye and say, hey, little eyeball, why don't we, why do we want to move you around? A little bit higher and a little bit further back. Okay. Eye. Whoops.
So we've got a question from folks. Are you using a mouse to draw this or a graphics tablet?
Ah. Um, I am. I'm using a graphics tablet. I have so there are very expensive tablets called Wacom tablets, and they sort of innovated this sort of area of making um, of using tablets, but those often are very they're 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 outside of my budget. This graphics tablet is something called an XP pen, letter X, letter P pen, and it's very much the same functionality as a Wacom. However, it's a fraction of the cost, and so that um, that allows me to be doing it's really hard to draw on top of a uh, to draw on to draw with a mouse. So what I'm let me let's try this. I'm gonna bop out of here for a second. And I'll show you the setup. I'm gonna go to Zoom. And can you see me now?
Oh, yeah, yes. When I asked the question, we started being able to see you. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were still looking at there.
Oh,
So this is my pen. And let's grab the camera here. Um, this is the tablet. All right. So now it's sort of it's doing this inception thing, you know, the picture of the picture of the picture of the picture, picture. So but when I'm drawing, I am drawing on top of this surface. So sometimes if your tablet isn't also a screen, then you have to sort of imagine where your pencil is. But I can put my pencil down directly on top of this and draw just like it's a regular picture. But so this is the XP pen, and it is a much less expensive tablet than a um, than the Wacom. Word of advice for illustrators on a budget. Um, so I've got this little bird mostly kind of penned in now. And to color it, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to take advantage of these layers. If I do something, if I like what I've got going on my drawing layer, And then I color that in and I go like, oh, that didn't really work. Then I have to erase everything. But I can keep that little drawing of the chickadee on one layer. I can do another layer where I put in shadows. I can do another layer where I put in colors, another layer where I can put in highlights. And so by playing with these different layers, it allows me to have more wiggle room to make mistakes and to easily fix those. So let's jump back there and we're going to color in our little bird. Actually, first let's move it around and kind of see if it works kind of hanging on onto the drawing. We'll kind of change its feet around maybe a little bit to make it grab on to those letters. Um, so if you're new to this group, we usually aren't doing digital illustrations. Um, So this is kind of a new thing, but we hope that some of the basic bird drawing skills that you're seeing with um, uh, this might give people an idea of like, oh, I guess I can do digital illustrations. I see why this is useful. I see how this is different. Still, if you're a regular illustrator with traditional media, some of the bird drawing techniques, we hope that those are going to be useful to you. And also, if you're a teacher and might be thinking about like, I might be able to use this for teaching classes online to be able to display my um, to be able to display another way of displaying while you're presenting. You don't see the disadvantage is you can't see the regular pencil in the person's hands. There's just a dot where things are drawing from. But an advantage of it is that sometimes when you're doing a demonstration online, your hand is blocking the thing that you're trying to show. So if you're doing a digital illustration, people just sort of see the tip of where your pencil has landed and it's making lines from there. So there's advantages, disadvantages of each, um, but I do hope that this is. Oh, I just looked at the notes. A flock of chickadees is called a banditry. Oh, you gotta love that, Sarah. Thank you. A banditry of because they've got little pirate masks on. They've got little bandit masks on. That is so cool. Aw, doesn't it make you want to get dressed up as a chickadee and go rob a bank? Maybe that's just me. But back to drawing chickadees. By the way, I do not endorse going out and robbing banks. This is not a thing that we should be doing. Video. Oh yeah, I use the share buttons, and we're going to share my desktop. There we are again, and we have our chickadees. We have these chickadees. Where's school? I get that Photoshop again. Okay. So this little bird. Let's get this big back of the neck here. See, there's this big. This is the floof that I really liked. I like this change in angle right here. This coming up and then angling in like that. That's cool. So that's a neat little chickadee there. And so now what I can do is I can grab my whole chickadee and I can turn off, whoops, I can turn off some of those little, oh, let's get that edge of the chickadee's neck, right? Um, yeah, let's get the edge of this patch here. Right. Right. So that little chickadee's working for me. I'm going to hide um, some of these lines in the back. Um, and I am going to take chickadee one here and I am going to flip it around. I don't think let's first just bring it around and see what happens if this chickadee decides to 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 head down here. We're going to move. Want to take this whole business, move it up, and then let's take chickadee one and move chickadee one down here. So if it's hanging on like this, it would need to do something different with the feet. And then we could also take chickadee one. So I'm going to need feedback from people in the chat about what you're liking better, because let's just flip this chickadee around and we can then rock it. Chickadee want to hang on there. What if that chickadee's hanging on the W? Let's zoom out and see how that looks. Oh, that's kind of fun. Yeah, if it's up in here, then it's getting its head crowded by things. But if it's down here on the W, on Trespasser's W there, Avea, what do people think about that?
I'm seeing nods and thumbs up. And Chloe says that is good.
Chloe says that's good.
Yes.
All right, Chloe, we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna zoom in, and let's change this bird's foot around so that it can hold on to the W. Now, it makes me think that the W is generally going to want to be, maybe it's got to be a little bit more robust to order to hold up a chickadee. So maybe may need to change my fonts around, but here we go. Let's zoom in a little bit more.
We've also got a suggestion to maybe make the chickadee. Oh, well, folks are agreeing and disagreeing on whether or not to make chickadee smaller, but that is a suggestion.
Well, let's experiment with that. Let's take this chickadee. Let's make it a little bit smaller, and then see what we think. So we're going to zoom. In order to for this, we need to be zoomed out a little bit. So zoom in. All right. So here's chickadee this size, and what we're going to do is we're going to with this we can decide whether or not we want it to be smaller. So I can just take this chickadee and bring it down like this. All right. So try to just sort of visually absorb this. Right. And then compare that. Smaller chickadee. Bigger chickadee. Please, in the chat, or everybody drop in what you prefer. We've got chickadee bigger. We have chickadee smaller.
We're getting people saying somewhere in between those two.
Oh, let's try that. All right, we're going to take this chickadee. We're just going to make it a little bit smaller. So isn't it interesting to have all of this flexibility?
Ribanto is saying perfect.
All right. All right. So, Chloe, do you agree with Ray Bonto?
Chloe says that one.
We've got a decision. See, isn't this cool? You've got this ability, this flexibility here to to make all these decisions. If I were doing this with traditional media, I couldn't take my chickadee and resize it and do any of these sorts of things. But because it's on the computer here, I can I can do all these little things. All right, let's put that little chickadee's grippers firmly on the W, and then we are going to and then we can color it in. This is fun. I love having this as a team sport. All right, we want to go to Chickadee 1 here. Yeah, select that layer, and we're going to zoom in on our chickadee and get rid of its foot. All right. Now, I am going to move my chickadee around. Like, yeah, there we go. And now, let's see what we can do with putting a little foot on our friend the chickadee. All right, so I'm thinking there's going to be, what will the back toe be doing? Back toe, yeah, chickadees, oops, that's, make our tip here a little bit smaller. Now the danger is when if you really zoom in on something, then you always end up putting way too much detail into that part. So I have to avoid over detailing the foot, or it will, because when you are zoomed in um, with something like this, you can see, all the edges of you're seeing the edges of your pixels, and you'll have a tendency to kind of overwork things. But you'll get into like, can I, get a highlight on this claw, whatever it is. Um, but really, you're looking at something that is people are going to be viewing from a different distance. So chickadees have a pretty robust back claw. And here is one toe coming up. Maybe this toe here wants to be more kind of wrapped around the other side of the I'm going to just darken this. No, I'm not. Keep this with just line work. All right, that can fold it on fairly well. Um, this toe wants to be a little bit more robust. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I think maybe a bigger back claw. Chickadee's kind of with that back toe sort of has a velociraptor going on. All right. So this little chickadee foot holding on here. Let's color in this chickadee in on a different layer. So I've just added in a different layer that I can add color in. The first thing, I'm going to do this in several different phases. One is I'm just going to throw in some general tone with this. And then I am going to add highlights and shadows in a separate layer. So it's weird to sort of think about this, like all these different layers of color. I also at this point might want to change up what brush I'm using. I had been using a brush. It was just a regular brush, but now I want, yeah, test this. Oops, I think I just pushed the wrong button. Redo new layer. That's what I want to do. And brush. Can I use the brush tool because the target layer is hidden? Ah, now. Yep, that's nice. So this one is I'm going to be using for adding in some feather effects. So you see with this kind of a brush, it looks, it's going to have a different effect um, uh, than what I was doing with the line work there. And if I make that, um, this might be a little bit too textured, but I will know soon. All right, so on our little chickadee friends here, let's take a look at some chickadees, and you'll see that there's sort of a general of effect here. Let's get some of these ones like, oh, look at this one. All right, so we're talking warm brown chest, mousy gray back, black head, and black and white on the wings. Tertials are black. Secondaries have these very fine white edges. Tails mostly black with some white edges on it. If we get a little bit more of a look at the belly of the bird, you're going to see that there's this interesting kind of white collar effect. Let's look at this one here. So you see that tan on the sides. There's a white bib below the black bib on the front. And then you see those white undertail coverts and um, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but the white also comes down the middle. See that on this little one here? So here is that little bib in the front, and then the white comes down the middle, giving you that tan patch. That's there on the sides. All right. So now I'm just going to block in these general kind of areas of color on this layer. And I can pick my colors, and I'm trying to get something that will be kind of a pale mousy brown. And that goes into this area here. And I'm deliberately not um, um, I'm trying not to get too much texture in that. And then we've got our gray. Let's see here. Actually, let me first put in some of the white since I've got this white. Uh-oh. Oh, I see what's going on. I want to take this layer, put it up above this. Okay. This. Nope. I just almost did this layer and this layer. Okay, I am on the right layer. Okay. I'm thinking like where this sort of choppy layer here with all these little squares shows you everything that is transparent. And because this may get turned into t-shirts, I want to make sure that anything that is white, I have white ink there. I think I want a little bit more. Here. There. Now let's get some black. Yeah. Let's get a different brush. Go back to this one here. One is easy to control. And in this, I'm not going to be really thinking about any texture. I just right now am trying to get a base coat that I'll put some texture and detail on top of. What brush do I have? Let's get that mousy gray. And if you look, as I move this little cursor around, you can see that little new box that is changing color. That's the color that I'm going to be getting. And I'm going to bring that into sort of a nice little mousy gray that I can put back here. And even though I know that the wing is not that color, I don't want there to be transparent stuff back there. So I will cover that up. And then we had the wing. Let's go. Oh, no, that's not you. We want this one. All right, so this wing is it's going to be white and black. So I can bring black into the wing, and I'm going to put some white detailing on top of that. Let's get some black. At this point, I'm sort of freely obliterating detail that I have with the in these wings, but because this is in a separate layer, don't worry, it is not gone, and I'm not going to have to do that work over. First, just getting myself a black base coat in here. All right. Now, there's the black part of the wing, and then there's the white part of the wing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole layer that I have that is these colors, and I'm going to make it just a little bit more transparent. See that? So that I can see where I've filled stuff in and where I haven't. I'm going to get some white. I see those edges, and I'm now going to, let's get that, I'm going to get my brush again that is that. Now, what do I have? I have in the tertials, there's a lot of white in there. That white comes all the way up to the edge of I have towards the back here, I have some covert feathers with very strong. I'm not liking the way this brush is working, so I'm going to switch brushes. Don't, I haven't, there's all these brushes. It's one of these things where you've got so many choices that I don't understand the difference between them. So I'm just kind of giving myself something that looks kind of brushy, might give me a little bit of texture. But at some point, it'd be nice to have a, a better understanding of how these brushes work. Some people who really do tons of digital illustrations, they know their brushes really, really well. I don't. Oh, I like this easier. That's easier. All right, there we go. Then we're gonna come in here. And then I'm going to have some white edges in here. I'm gonna have some white edges on the tail. One of those tail marks. Yeah, it's not really working for me. So now I'm going to go back to this layer where I have my real drawing. I'm going to tighten a few things up. For instance, on the, actually, let's just kind of get a quick peek at this wing. If I, yeah, let's, want, so yeah, see how I can get some of those little lines back. I'm going to now go to this top layer here that has my line drawing in it. I'm going to go back and get my original drawing brush. And I am going to erase some of the black lines that I have and then redraw some of those tail edges in there. There. Now I'm going to add let's add a little bit of more sort of variation and texturing into these black areas and these gray areas. So I'm going to go back to this layer that has those colors, and I will get a lighter gray. So these parts are black, but what if there's a little bit of, no, what if there's a little bit of, just a little bit of light in here. I'm going to, sometimes black parts of birds will, like these chickadees, you can almost kind of get a little bit of a bluish sheen. What if we have some of that? In these black parts of the bird. think I kind of overdid it, but that's okay. Add. I'm just trying to see what I can do to kind of get a little sense of some sheen on the forehead of this little birdie. Oops. I'm going to make the back a little bit fluffier. I'm going to add a little bit of texture into that. Add a little bit of texture into the belly. Anytime you don't like something with these, you can always, there's this wonderful undo button. I really like the undo button. There was a brush over here that, let's see, it was called, I wonder what Bristle Balm does. Let's find out. I don't think I like Bristle Balm. I'm having a hard time getting the right tone of color on the belly, so I just made a new layer for that belly. Yeah, these, I don't like Bristle Balm. So what I've just done is put in a bunch of texture marks in here, and notice that this is too extreme. They're also overlapping all over the place that I don't want, but those I had made on a separate layer, and I'm thinking I might be able, here's kind of a cool trick that I can do. I've got these little brown marks in here on the belly, but they're too extreme. Because I made it on a different layer, I can just take that and kind of kick it down until I get a little hint of some texture, but not too much. Ooh. Now let's go back to the gray of the back. And Right. Now, I'm going to back up from the whole thing. Put in that white background with it so you're not distracted by the, here we have our little birdie. And let's see what we think. Let's zoom in. I think I could have some fun matching some of the blue and the kind of reflection in the head with the stuff in the text. I do want to work on that foot there, how it's going to hold on to the W. That's not really working for me. I think a little bit more texture in the back. And then this little birdie might be working. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, then you'd want that text to also maybe have a black edging to it. And that's how I go about sort of playing with one of these sort of logo projects. Um, I it's because I'm working on a digital tablet, I've got the ability just to like, ooh, I didn't like that. I'm gonna I'm gonna remove that. Oh, I want to take that. I want to put it on a separate layer in case I mess that up. Or I like this texture, but I just want, how can I get it the right boldness? I can put that on a separate layer and then make it lighter or darker. Sometimes I'll just put in a shadow over everything as a dark color, and then I can just play with that and make it lighter, darker, lighter, darker, lighter, darker. And as you saw, you can iterate a lot of these things. You can take that thing, you can move it around, you can change the position of the head. You can take this part and you can stick it over there. It's a lot of fun. Totally different than sketching out in the field, right? I don't have Command Z that I can do to undo things when I'm doing that in the field. And then I can also, if I then send this to the client, the person who wants this, and they kind of go like, I like that bird, I don't like that bird. It's not a big deal to kind of then swap something else out there, play around with those sorts of things. And that is a look at sort of my approach for messing around with, I'm using the program called Photoshop by Adobe. Um, there are, if you are a starting off illustrator, Adobe is expensive, right? So a way around that is there is a program called Kitra that is much more in everybody's price range. And it is a digital drawing program that has lots and lots and lots of the same functionality, works the same way. A little bit of the interface is different, but that's only a problem if you've been working in Photoshop a lot and you're feeling more comfortable with that. So you might want to check out Kitra. Um, if you do your stuff, do digital drawing on a tablet. So if you've got an iPad or something like that, there is a program called Procreate. Um, and Procreate is another digital drawing thing, works great with the tablet. You can't use Procreate on your laptop. But if you have a digital drawing tablet, you get yourself Procreate, you'll be able to really play with tons of digital illustrations. Also, there's a big Procreate community of people who are posting how to do videos about lots of different things on using Procreate. So it's one of these things where you can kind of go out to the community and I'm trying to get it to do this, and how do I do that? And there'll be like 30 different people with their videos showing you how to do that. So I want to encourage you to play with, among other things, play with digital illustration. I haven't really messed around with it much in the field. I know there are people who will bring a tablet out in the field and sketch in the field. I really kind of prefer the feeling of a real piece of paper in my hands. Um, but when I'm back here in the studio and I'm doing something like this, being able to have Command Z is really fun. I hope that this was useful for you. I hope you got some ideas of kind of how what this digital drawing process looks like, and that you might want to try it yourself. Again, Kitra and Procreate are both really low cost ways of getting yourself a digital drawing software that works beautifully. Um, let's bump over to the community and see if anybody has any thoughts, comments, or ideas, or if people have nature journaling projects that they've been doing that they would like to share with us. And I will let's see what's going on in your sketchbook. You can use the raise hand button if you'd like to share something, or you can also use the you can just wave at us and we'll kind of go like, oh, you've got your camera on and you're waving. I bet you've got something to say. Also wanted to send my thanks out to all of you folks for your suggestions about resizing things, moving things. Chloe, thank you. Ray Bonto, thank you so much. Um, and so let's see if anybody's got anything that you wanted to share.
We did have a question from E just now about Sketchdesk.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Sketchdesk. E, if you've used it, would you be able to come on and tell us a little bit about your experience with that? I'm not familiar with that.
Hi.
Uh,
Hello.
oh, hi there.
Hi. I don't know a lot about it. I think it was taken over by another company, but I thought it was free at some point. Um, a family member loaded on my computer. I barely can manage to use it, but it was supposedly a very good program,
Um,
similar
that
to Procreate. I think it's available on the PC, all the different platforms. But again, I don't know a lot about it, but I just heard, oh, it's great. It does a lot of things. So I
yeah
thought I'd ask in case anybody knew about it.
yeah I don't know anything about that. Kitra is also free.
Oh, I'll have to look into that. Is that for the tablets or for the computers?
That's for computers, and I don't know if it works on tablets.
Okay.
Um, uh, the but I know it works on computers, and it is a really solid professional grade drawing program, and that price point works for most people. Also,
Sounds good.
what I
Thank
want to
you.
encourage people to do is if you are using Kitra and you have the capacity to do so, to make a donation to them. Um, Again, just like lots of folks that there are people who are putting. By the way, Kitra is K. I'm not sure if I'm spelling it right. Krita. Krita. So not Kitra. Krita. So Krita. Yeah. So yeah, Krita is free. And but if it's possible to donate something to help support the people who make that, that's a really good thing to do. Generally, in this, there are lots of folks who are creating free content and free services like this, and they depend heavily on donations from nice people like us. Again, if your budget can't afford that at this time, they understand that, and you're supposed to go there and get it for free and use it for free. But if at some point you're able to make a donation to them, that's great. That helps. Um, let's see. So E, did you have any other thoughts or comments?
Yes, hi, Jack. I'm sorry, I gave the wrong name. Someone did ask. It's actually Sketchbook. I always get it wrong for some reason. I think it's
Ah,
Sketch Desk. The gentleman put it in the chat.
oh,
Sketchbook.
okay,
Sorry
great.
about that.
No worries. Yeah, if anybody has used that and really likes it, let us know. Um,
And thank you for the Krita recommendation. I'll look into that. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, it's a really solid drawing program, and they've made it accessible to all of us. And that is, yeah, Adobe's price point is high. And it's also Adobe is on a subscription. So it's not like you buy it once and you kind of it's going to you're or we with things that are on a subscription basis, we often kind of forget that it's there. But then it just takes a nibble out of our pocketbook um, every every quarter or every month, whatever their billing cycle is. Um, but yeah, yeah, check that out.
Thanks again. It looks like someone in the chat knows a little bit about Sketchbook.
Oh,
So
great.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions, comments, or ideas? Anybody wanted to share something that you've been drawing? Oh,
You're
chicken.
I was caught by what you said about the Chickadee robbing the bank. So I've got Chickadee and the Bandits. I
Oh,
a little super villain cape as well.
oh, Bethany, that is so much fun. I love it. And this is also kind of the mountain chickadee effect that we've got here, right?
Yeah, I looked up. I don't know any chickadees. We've only got blue tits and great tits, and I'm in the UK. So, I just looked them up really quickly, and I found that one. I thought, well, that's got to
Oh,
be.
it's perfect for that. So this is you drew actually my personal favorite chickadee.
Oh, brilliant.
That is the mountain chickadee. And you'll be hiking around in the Sierra Nevada, and they have this they're this tiny little ball of a bird, but they'll be there in the middle of winter. They'll be the blizzard will be over, and you'll kind of go for a walk and just like, how could anything survive in this? And you'll be walking along, and they have this they're saying, "Hey, sweetie, hey, sweetie," and it just comes echoing through the forest. And that's fun. That's fun. Again, I am so happy to see this little bandit.
Oh, I had fun. These are the long-tailed tits that we get in my garden.
Oh, that is. I'm gonna minimize my screen. Oh, look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're like a little ball on a stick,
A
but
ball and yep.
they are really, really small, really, really cute. I think the song sounds like it might be kind of similar, but it's very, very high pitched. Um, yeah, they're really good fun, and they do all the sort of hanging upside down and crazy things.
Oh, that is really, really cool. That is so much fun. Aha. And then are those kites that you're watching?
Oh yeah, I have red,
Black kites, perhaps?
red kites.
Uh-huh.
Red kites keep visiting over the garden at the moment. So I've just been trying to very quickly do a silhouette every so often. So
Those
I've
are
got
great exercises.
yeah.
Yes. Trying to catch that thing fast in flight,
Yes.
from life. Um, Such an interesting challenge. But you're getting a bunch of these angles in the wings here. I love what you're doing with that.
Yeah, it's very characteristic sort of angles, wings,
Yeah.
because sometimes get buzzards as well, and you can generally tell just by the shape in the sky which one it is. And then I get the out and go, yeah, I'm right.
Oh, I love it. And there's with the swag bag. That's great.
I was thinking that they kind of needed a superhero to go with a supervillain, and I've just got, it's a bit sleepy, but I've just got my little hammy here. So,
hold on. I need to make my screen go away so we can make that critter bigger. Look at you. What, that is a super fuzzy hero.
Yes, yeah.
Aw. Aw. I didn't know we'd get a hamster moment today. What a great day.
Where are you going? Look. Do you want to be in there? Do you want to be the hero?
Oh, I'm watching some body language here. I think Ray Bonto may be sketching the hamster.
Oh.
Never a moment wasted. Oh, that's really cool. That's really, really fun. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing these little beasties. And oh, and I just noticed that the bandits in the background have got necklaces and
Yeah.
oh, what that's fun. Well, thank you very much for sharing your drawings and your hamster.
You're welcome.
Well, Chloe will appreciate that little beastie.
Yeah, it's a bit more fuzzy than the mice.
All right. Let's bring in Lois and then Ray Bonto. Thank you for being with us. Hi there.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to, well, first of all, for those of you who don't know, Jack was on my show. He was a year and a half ago, and he came on to the Birding with Lois show, and we had such a great time. And one of the things that I learned when I was doing that show is one of the people who came on was talking about how birds keep from freezing. And of course, their feathers fluff up and it gets lots of air trapped and good insulation. But what about their feet? Because they've got feet that are sticking out from the fluff and they're hanging onto the branch. And it turns out that they have a recirculation of blood that acts like antifreeze. So it goes up into their body and they warm it up because their body's warm. And then when the blood goes back down into their toes, that warm blood keeps their feet from freezing. Isn't that astonishing?
Yeah, and the colder they get, also it's neat to see that insulation just go whoop.
And they settle down and fluff around their feet.
Yeah. And then when it's really cold, you even have to sometimes put your beak in your feathers.
Oh, you get one of those little capes like she drew.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You you draw your cape around you. And so how can people find out about your show?
Oh, I will put a link to the archives in the chat if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. And also for people who are watching on the video, what is the email?
It is
the email, the URL.
The website. It's birdingwithlois.global. Lois, Lois, that's my name.
So LOIS.global.
Birdingwithlois.global. Yeah.
Excellent. It's really good to see you.
Good to see you again. Bye, Jack.
Bye-bye. And let's join Ray Bonto. Hello there.
Hi, Jack.
I'm going to make my screen small because I know you've been drawing up a storm.
Actually, I didn't draw anything. It was just so interesting.
Oh, okay. But you've got some other journal
Oh yeah, pigeons.
Ah. Oh
I tried
man.
to do some in-flight ones.
That is really exciting to see. These angles on the angles on the necks and these negative spaces, the ones down by your lower left-hand corner, by your left hand there, in our bottom right-hand corner. Um, Look at that little curve in the neck there. I've seen that curve on pigeons. When the head goes up, forward, oh, and then these landing pigeon poses. That's cool. Your line work is also got this delightful variation in it. Um, this is so exciting to see.
An interesting thing was over here in this pigeon. Sorry about the mark. It was from before.
It's all right.
Um, there was a lot of blood around this area,
Really?
and all the uh, it was the uh, yeah, the covert feathers were missing. A
Oh,
lot of them.
I wonder if it survived a cat attack. Um,
That that's possible.
oh, yeah. The if a
This one you see.
oh, that is so interesting. That is that the same view of the same bird, another view of the same bird?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, if a predator gets a big mouthful of feathers, sometimes the bird can, if the predator isn't into meat and bone, the bird will be able to kind of jerk away and survive the attack. Um,
Mm.
that is that is really interesting. I hope
Mm.
that bird makes it.
Yeah.
A little bird brush with death there.
Mm.
Wow. And sometimes um, you'll see uh, juncos or sparrows kind of hopping around that have no tail. And sometimes the one thought of we have these birds out here called the dark-eyed junco. They're a really
Oh
common
yeah.
bird, and it has white outer tail feathers. So why have tail feathers with a big pattern on them? One thought about this, and notice I'm not saying that this is definitely what's going on, but one hypothesis for the function of that is that when the predator jumps out at you and you're trying to take off,
Mm.
uh, there's this blur in front of you, and what is the predator going to then aim for to try to take a bite of? Whatever you can kind of get the kind of highest resolution on, you'll have this part with high contrast, the white feathers next to the black of the tail. There's this high contrast target there saying, whatever you do, don't bite me in this tail. And then the predator can get a mouthful of feathers and the bird can escape. So
Mm.
it's an interesting hypothesis
Okay.
that perhaps these sort of boldly contrasting tail feathers may be a target for a predator
Mm.
possibility. That's cool. I like those sketches.
Thank you.
Really good to see you.
You too.
Um, so today's class was a little bit of a different kettle of fish, a bit of digital illustration. Again, as when I return to this, what I'll probably be doing is there's a few of the details that I need to figure out. I'm not quite happy with the way that the light is bouncing around on the head of the bird. And on the back of the bird, need to get that foot to hold on to the W a little bit better. So I'll probably kind of go on, take a look at a lot of photographs of birds hanging upside down and seeing what their feet are really doing. And then I can get a little bit more inspiration for that part of the drawing. Then I'll have fun playing with some other birds and other parts. And then I think that might work. If you have access to digital drawing tools, I encourage you to play with it. Don't worry, doing digital drawing won't spoil you for, then you won't be able to make to draw on a regular piece of paper. But it's fun. The more we draw, the more we make art. The more we draw, the more we make art, and it all just builds. I hope that this workshop was really useful to you. I would like to send a big shout out to the amazing Avea Moore, our co-host, who has been. May I bring you on screen? Add you into the spotlight here. To Avea Moore, who's been helping us wrangle the workshop here. So grateful to you. So grateful to everybody in this community for your friendship and the wonderful art that you are making. Want to encourage everybody just to be brave, do more. You can do this. Even a pigeon in flight. Avea, any last thoughts for the community?
Just let's keep on doing those pencil miles, and possibly, I mean, you're still drawing, so it still is pencil miles, even if digital. So yeah, I'm seeing Susan holding up something. But yep, still pencil miles.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing you all again soon. Until we meet again, be a maker and be kind. The world needs that right now. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. And thank you, Avea.